California's Gold is produced in association with KCET Los Angeles and is seen statewide on California Public Television. This series is endorsed by the California Teachers Association, the California School Boards Association, and the California Library Association. Hello everybody, I'm Huell Howser, and usually there is a pattern to the way we develop a story. We start off by saying where we are, and then we meet the person we're going to be spending time with and kind of tell a little bit about what the story is all about. But on this particular story, on this adventure, we're not doing any of that. We're breaking all the rules and starting off with a bang. Hit it, Joe! California, here I come, right back where I started from, where bowers of flowers bloom in the spring. Each morning at dawning, birdies sing at everything. A sun-kissed miss said, "Don't be late." That's why I can hardly wait. I've asked everybody else, why did you start doing this? What brought you here?
Well, I really want to get into the voiceover industry, which is extremely hard. But anyway, and the thing was that someone had told me about this, and once I started, I really liked it. So I come every week, and sometimes twice a week, but I just really enjoy reading. And also, it's a very good cause.
And it's kind of interesting. You're kind of shut in this little booth, this little soundproof booth. The whole world is going on around you,
right.
But you're in your own little cocoon here.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And this is it. I'm so into the reading. You're not aware of anything around you. You're just into that reading, and it's
time flies by.
Oh, very much so. I've got a clock here. My watch had broken, so I brought my clock. But the time just flies like that.
Yeah.
Yes, it really does.
So you recommend this for people out there watching who want to do some volunteer work?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Very rewarding.
Yes, it is. To oneself, it is. Yes, very rewarding.
All right, I'm just going to back off and listen to you read. Can you just read a little bit for us?
Yes, I
and
can.
We'll be hearing basically what some student
We'll be hearing.
somewhere in the United States, because this goes all over the country,
world. Yes,
all over the world.
I think, yes.
We'll be hearing what you're doing right now.
Right, exactly.
Okay,
yes.
here she goes.
All right.
I'll begin this story back in 2022. Lana Del Rey has just released a song called Did You Know That There's a Tunnel Under Ocean Boulevard? The tunnel in question refers to the Jurgens Tunnel, which can be found somewhere hidden in Long Beach, California. Throughout the song, she pays tribute to forgotten lore, comparing it to her own romantic history as the chorus cries, "Don't forget me." It's a beautiful track and one that embodies a world that exists just out of sight. It encourages us to go searching for it. There is one verse that I think encapsulates nostalgia that runs throughout her music. There's a girl who sings Hotel California, not because she loves the notes or sounds that sound like Florida. It's because she's in a world preserved, only a few have found the door. It's like Camarillo, only silver mirrors running down the corridor. Many have put their stamp on this wonderfully diverse state. It's a place that I've called home for most of my life. Southern California means a lot to me, and the rich mythology that surrounds this area continues to surprise me. Each new generation brings something different to the forefront, and it becomes bittersweet with that reality. We live in a land that continually evolves and embraces change, but it comes at the expense of losing small landmarks in the process. The Jurgens Tunnel is a great example because I'd otherwise never think about the history underneath my feet. Now it's tough to drive down Ocean and not hum that tune in my head. As much as this essay isn't meant to say one way is better, it's hard to not think of Huell Howser and the odd ways that he preserves so much California history. There are nights when I tune in and think, come on man, flagpoles aren't that interesting, and skip right on to some other rerun. However, because his career exists in the rearview mirror, there are nights where he'll tap into something so bygone that the very mention brings up an unexpected fondness. Because even in my adulthood, California has changed significantly. As we've been consumed by industrialism and brutalist architecture, it has removed certain authenticity. I still reminisce on the old acres of books and how Ray Bradbury loved it so much that he wrote an essay about its brilliance. It has been closed since 2008, and yet nothing of value has replaced that lot. There are small things that stick with you, but so much is forgotten. It is maybe why I found comfort in travelogue, history-type shows. Even as I've learned so much about the state's history, it is clear that there's more out there. I could drive down the same streets and never see what these guys saw. Maybe it's what's inside the building. Maybe it's the family who works there. Who knows? I'm not one to stop and ask questions. Maybe I'll get the bug and look something up on Wikipedia, but for an ecosystem so diverse, I take it for granted. Everyone has their own thing that makes SoCal home, and it's one of the reasons I love this area with all of my heart. Because of this, I've regularly watched Lost LA on PBS. I've also attended tapings of Unheard LA to hear random stories of people navigating their low corners of the world. It makes you see the essence, the type that can't be featured in the fast-paced, manufactured world that has removed some of its elegance. I know I'm guilty to some extent, but I'm grateful for those who are curious enough to walk by the door of a small business and go in. Maybe there's a story inside, who knows? Maybe you'll discover your new favorite thing, or it could just be another uneventful detour. Which brings me to Huell Howser.
Huell explores a bit of flagpole history.
And boy, that flagpole has a great story to tell.
Everybody came together
and bought themselves a ship's mast
And used it as a flagpole.
Only on Huell.
I know that I just ragged on him about that flagpole episode, but I promise that even at his most trivial, there is something that I will forever love about him. Oh sure, he rarely asked the hard-hitting questions and seemed to be distracted by anything that moved, but he had a gift that you can't teach in journalism school. Trust me, as someone who has spent a few semesters slapping together shows, you're often forced to learn certain levels of professionalism in order to be the least bit successful. I'm not saying that Huell was not professional, but there is something to watching his work that some might find laughable. His style could be so parodic that people like James Adomian took to doing imitations of him. Then again, he's also one of the rare people that have both guest starred on The Simpsons as well as had a fictionalized stand-in. For a man who covered such neat subject matter like California anthropology, he managed to make some powerful friends. In fact, I can't think of too many public access types who still have regular reruns over a decade after their passing. Just looking at PBS, I'd have to assume it's him, Mr. Rogers, and Bob Ross. So what was it then about Huell that made him so iconic? Don't get me wrong, he's no David Frost. You're never going to have a gotcha interview with him. Compared to others like Charles Kuralt, it felt like he drove down the street until he found something that amused him. You can imagine him sitting in the passenger seat yelling, "Hey, hey, stop the car!" and running out to gaze an eye at the most inane-looking tree. If you watch him enough, you'll know what to expect. You'll say, "Wow," and respond, "That's amazing," to a person just describing how early they wake up in the morning. He is someone so easily amused that there's compilations online of him celebrating the simplest things. I may laugh, but I couldn't imagine my life without him. As someone who feels too self-conscious to stop and question my surroundings, there is something refreshing about having Huell there every night. He is iconic less because of his eloquence or academia, and more because he's arguably the most approachable TV personality I have ever seen. Well, no, I take that back. You rarely approach him. If anything, you'll be standing around, minding your business, and he'll ask you a question. Nowadays, man-on-the-street personalities like Billy Eichner have tainted the safety of talking to strangers without risk. But when Huell was doing it, you could tell that there was no malice. He wasn't going to embarrass you. He lacked a certain kind of nuance to the point his episodes could be very redundant. However, it also made him seem more, human. You see, it's difficult to think of anyone walking up to you without any ulterior motive. Not Huell. He may be awkward, his cadence may confuse you, but he wasn't out for anything except a good story. Unlike the journalist who spends months carefully studying their topic for the best possible outcome, Huell relies almost exclusively on instinct. If something amuses him, he'll perk up, laugh, and repeat what you said. There's something validating about it. He's more than a renowned TV personality. He's a fan of life's greatest wonders. Excuse me, I need to take a break.
We found a student. You're up here from Ventura County.
Yes.
You walk this way every day to class?
Mm-hmm.
Come over here. I want to show you something over here. Do you know anything about these trees right here?
No.
They're
They're redwoods, of course. I know they're redwoods.
Do you know where they came from?
I think they've been here for a while.
They have. They were planted here. But these are moon trees.
What's a moon tree?
The seeds for these trees circled the moon with an American astronaut in the early 70s.
Wow.
And
That's
then they
amazing.
were planted here.
Wow, well thank you for that great piece of information.
From now on, when you walk by, let's go over and touch it. Your name is?
Krista.
Krista and I are touching a moon tree.
Awesome.
Okay, now where was I? Oh yeah. I personally think that what makes Huell so indelible to California culture is that, like most people, he's an outsider. Like the Grapes of Wrath before, some of the greatest innovators of this state tell stories of how they came here seeking opportunity. I don't care to look into why Huell left Tennessee, but I'm glad he did. I think it allowed details to finally be highlighted that the residents hadn't even considered. It was a chance to break free of the jaded notions and realize how much happens around us. He didn't miss the forest for the trees. If anything, he stopped and admired each and every one of them. You look at him like a loon, but he had a point. We were all being too serious. Some things didn't need a long con. Sometimes engagement was just enough. And I think it's the underlying reason that he is one of those figures that I continually return to. As I've aged and the world has changed, I find myself intrigued about what it used to be, whether in my youth or even further back. For Huell, it was all part of this greater amorphous tapestry. By placing the camera on these exhibits, he is creating a connection to a past that is otherwise lost. Again, some of these stories are downright dumb, but California is a land of opportunity. There are so many self-made families within these borders deserving of a mention. Even if it's just awkwardly placing a camera in a shy girl's face, by doing this, Huell captures something about what it means to be alive at any given moment. We all exist alongside each other, and in some ways, it was our job to collectively make the future better. I think a lot of the appeal comes from how simple it was. Instead of highlighting an endless list of favorite episodes, I thought that I'd focus on the spirit of why his work matters to me. His subjects could be absurd, but every now and then you learn about tuba Christmas or moon trees. You'll be amazed that somebody found their own niche way to live. Not only that, but I think Huell being so in the moment at the expense of greater commentary allows it to feel more innocent. The work may age, but it always has some nostalgia for a simpler way of seeing the world. Because of this, I find Huell inspiring. He's one of my favorite TV personalities because of it. Public access didn't limit him, and instead forced him to find alternative ways to get a story. I don't know if he's ever had a rough day. I'm sure he has. But he never showed it. He was always there, smile on his face, ready to go. There may be more acclaimed scholars on the subject of California, but I don't think they capture the spirit of the state quite like Huell. For as amazing as Joan Didion or Paul Thomas Anderson are, Huell's ability to really dig into the minutiae sets him apart. You can laugh at him for being easily distracted, or not being all that intuitive, but I'm sure he's never found a corner of California that he didn't like. Now that, my friends, takes a special kind of mind. To return to my opening, did I know that there's a tunnel under Ocean Boulevard? No, I didn't. There's a lot actually that has never crossed my mind. However, I think there's something necessary in sharing these stories. We must sing those songs and ask those questions, even if they're as simple as, what's over there? I think of generations who will only know acres of books or Ray Bradbury. They won't get to touch those shelves or take in the sights that were as fleeting as the evening sun. That is the brilliance of life. It happens so fast that we can't help but miss some of it. But the question is, are we missing it because we were busy that day, or is it because we don't know about the history underneath our feet? I'm not sure if Huell ever visited Jurgens Tunnel, but I'm sure he'd be the first to get an email from a loyal fan and immediately run to interview them. He wasn't particular about who you were, he just wanted to know what you were getting out of life. And to that I say, wow, that's amazing. And with that, I want to say thank you for watching. Also, if you're in the Southern California area and want to see more, you can find Huell Howser's work airing on KCET almost every night in the 7 o'clock hour.
California,
Now this is interesting. You are cooking corn.
Yeah.
Right? Let's put the corn in the fire. And are you here for part of the celebration tonight?
I know, it's separate.
No, you just happen to be here.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think all this is going on around here?
Well, I asked someone, and it's supposed to be, I think, Persian New Year's or something like that. Yeah.
So did you know you were going to be part of all this when you came down here?
Nope, had no idea.
You thought you were going to have a quiet night on the beach, didn't you?
Right.
And you ended up
With a party in back of us.
a big party.
That's right.
Well, you know what? That's part of living in Southern California. You never know what's going on.
Right.
Have a good night.
Thanks.
And Happy New Year.
Thank you.
They came here totally by accident. And they're cooking corn.
Visiting with Huell Howser is made possible through a generous grant from the Ralph M. Parsons Foundation.